Hi everyone, it's Heather here, also known as the boss, because some things never change. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for their overwhelming support of Carol and myself over not just the last week since Harry's gone, but the build up to that, and even before Woofstock and back in June and July when it was first discovered that Harry was ill and we didn't know how much longer that we had with him. It's incredible to have messages from people all over the world that Harry has touched and will continue to touch, because he's not kind of gone anywhere, which was something that myself and Carol discussed many months ago, about what would happen when Harry decides to leave us in his physical form and trot off over the Rainbow Bridge. So what prompted me to do a video this evening was something happened earlier on today, which got me thinking even more than I have been thinking for the past week plus. And that was a phone call from the vet saying that Harry's ashes were ready for collection, which I have duly collected and brought him back home this evening. And when I put the phone down to the vets, I was very surprised that I didn't have an overwhelming sense of sadness and didn't burst into tears and didn't hold my head in my hands as I have done many times over the past week, and as Carol has done as well. And that was quickly replaced by guilt of not breaking down, because I would have expected myself to have reacted very differently. Because when you get that call from the vet to say that your beloved pet is ready for collection, it's kind of the final stage in the whole physical process, and that didn't happen. And it struck me that I am still grieving, and there's very different stages of grief, and all these emotions that we have when we say goodbye to an animal are all wrapped up in one single word: grief. And a few days ago, a phrase popped into my head, and it was very simple. There was no rhyme nor reason as to why it would pop into my head at that given time, because I was in the kitchen baking. And it was beyond the grief. And that has had me thinking for the last few days, beyond the grief. As Maggie at the moment is actually scratching under the table, just to remind me that she's still here. And I've also spent quite a lot of time since last Thursday with a phrase going over, and I've sat and I've sobbed and thought to myself, what am I going to do now? What do I do now? Very sad phrase, and it has been for a week. What do I do now? Harry's gone. What do I do? Because he has been by my side for so long. The dog saved my life back in 2012. He's been connected with me. He's formed a huge daily part of my life, not just because he's my dog and he was there and I could touch him, but because of his presence on social media and his blogs and the wit and everything that came from that. And I thought, what do I do now? And myself and Carol had always talked in the past, when Harry goes, he will still be around tweeting or Facebooking or doing things from the other side, because he's such a huge character. To just it to end wouldn't be right, and it wouldn't be right for his memory. And then I thought today, instead of what do I do now, being a very sad, emotional phrase, I could say, what do I do now? Make it more upbeat, make it more of an affirmation. What do I do now? And then I thought, maybe that's the wrong question. And the right question is, what do I want to do now? And what I want to do now is I want to continue with what I've done for the past few years and what myself and Carol have done, and make a change in the world. And Harry was the vehicle for that change and will continue to be the vehicle for that change. And then I thought, how do I do that? So lots and lots of questions going on, wrapped up in the emotions of Harry having gone. And something rang true with me when Ross, our vet, left us last Thursday. And he gave me a hug. And he said, continue to make the difference. Help others who are in the same situation as you. Speak to people. You have a social platform. Reach out to people who will be going through exactly all the emotions that you have, from the guilt, the sadness, the loss, the brokenness, the humour, the remembering, all of these things wrapped up in the one word, grief. And those show themselves in very, very different forms. For example, Monday morning, I was travelling up to work, up to Oxfordshire, and I couldn't leave the house. And I burst into tears, and I said to Carol, I said, I can't do this. I can't leave him. Harry is here, he's all around me, I can't leave him. And I did it, and I drove up, and on the way, something funny, slightly morbid but funny, happened on the way, and the vets phoned me on the way, and I thought, I just can't answer another phone call to a vet's at the moment. I thought, Harry can't be ready yet to collect. And I picked up a message from the vets, and the girl at the end of the phone sounded in a little bit of a state and said, could I phone them as soon as possible? And I phoned this girl and spoke to her, and she said, the crematorium's come to collect Harry, and Harry's not here. He's gone off to another crematorium. And she just kept apologising. I'm so sorry that I'm phoning you and talking to you about this. And I literally burst out laughing and said, even in death, Harry's getting his own back on the vets. He spent most of his life peeing over most of them. And even in death, he's getting his own back on you lot by playing hide and seek. And basically what had happened is Harry had gone off to a crematorium, and there'd been a bit of confusion with one that I'd spoken to last week. Um, and it just tickled me because it's so Harry. Harry never does anything. He never did anything straightforward in his life. So why would I expect him to do anything straightforward when he's gone? And then I arrived in Oxfordshire and I sat in the car and I thought, I can't get out of the car. I can't go in and face people. And one of our good friends, Karen, had messaged to see if I'd got there safe. And I said, I'm sat in the car park. I can't go in. I can't get out of the car. And she said, you're strong. You're stronger than you think. Go and do it. Because I knew when I walked into the office that the first sentence that I would hear would be, really sorry to hear about Harry. And I hadn't left the house for so long, apart from we went to the cinema on Sunday night, and I hadn't left the house for a week or so before that. And I didn't know if I could face it. So I dusted myself off and I went into the office, and sure enough, first sentence, really sorry to hear about Harry. And I burst into tears and I sobbed in the middle of an open plan office, still holding my laptop case, still with my bag over my shoulder, and I just stood there and sobbed. And that's okay too. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say to people, is that's okay. We spend our lives as human as, oh, don't cry, wipe away your tears, everything's going to be okay. But it's okay to cry. It's okay to let those emotions out. Because if you don't let those emotions out, they just build. And I think, while Maggie scratches on the floor again, reminding me she still exists, and I think we've got a lot to learn about that. And equally, it's okay to be okay. It's okay for me to be talking to you and not crying and snotting everywhere and being an emotional wreck while I'm talking to you. And I still hurt, and I'm still sad, and my heart still aches, and Harry would normally be there, lying, snoring, looking at me and telling me to shut up. And it's okay. It's okay to have a full range of emotions. When I picked the ashes up from the vets, and I said he's heavy, because he was heavy, and the girl behind the reception, she just looked at me and she just laughed and recalled what had happened on Monday, and I laughed about it again. And that's okay, because we're not being disrespectful to the memory of our loved ones. We're not. Jake's agreeing with me. If you can hear him, he's going to start in a minute. And it's okay to laugh, and it's okay to find the lightheartedness in it. And it's almost like we're trained as human beings to, we must grieve in a certain way, we must be sad, we must do this. And then we have a fear, and I've had it this week, people think that I'm hard or cold-hearted, or I didn't really care about it, because I'm finding the humour in what he did and what he's continuing to do when he's not here. And finally it clicked with me today that it is okay. And no doubt at a stage it could be in an hour, it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be next month, I'll cry again. And again, that's okay too. to do that. And we forget that we're emotive, we have emotions, we have a full range of emotions, and we all deal with things in different ways. And I'm okay with myself for that. You know, I brought him home and Carol was here, and you know, she said, "You went to the supermarket, what do you do with them?" I said, "I left them on the back seat and told them to be good." I said, you know, if anybody breaks into the car and takes that, they're going to get a bit of a shock and be a bit disappointed. And it's just little things like that. And Harry taught me that. And yes, he's a dog. And yes, some people won't get this. But he taught me to live in the here and now. He taught me to be more dog. And when he saved me in 2012, and he did, if I hadn't have picked up on what this young dog was telling me, I wouldn't be here today, rambling on at all of you. And when I woke up the next morning and I missed him all those years ago, and I promised myself that I would live in the here and now and appreciate the here and now. And Harry has taught me that again and again and again throughout his life. Because dogs don't think about tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. Dogs live in the moment and appreciate the cuddles that they're getting now, the strokes that they're getting now, the food that they're getting now. And what a way to live. What a way to live your life, because then you don't miss anything. You're present, you don't miss anything at all. So going back to beyond the grief, is there anything beyond the grief? Does the grief really go? I think the grief is such a strong word. And it's actually not a word that I particularly like. So I'm going to go with the emotions, the feelings. Do they ever go away? I don't think they go away. I think we miss what we've lost every single day. I think we learn as humans to tuck it away somewhere. And now and again something happens that makes it pop up. I think I said a couple of years ago, things don't get better, they get different. I'm thinking back now and going through this now because of Harry. I think things do get better. And I think, again, there's nothing wrong with things getting better. And why shouldn't they get better? We're here to live our lives. We're here once. And again, there's no guilt in saying that things get better. Because things do get better. I'm better than I was yesterday. I didn't cry for the first time in over a week this morning. I've spent every single morning waking up and bursting into tears and thinking, how am I going to get through the day? So things are getting better emotionally for me, and mentally for me, things are getting better. And again, that's okay. And if I cry later, or if I cry in the morning, that's okay too, and I'm okay with that. Because you get on with your day-to-day life, doesn't mean you've forgotten what you've lost, because what you've lost's in here and in here, and it'll never go away. I just kind of wanted to ramble on and talk to you, to tell you where I'm at the moment, and Carol's very much in the same place as me at the moment. She had a cry this morning. But, you know, she also had a laugh. For example, Harry came back in a oak casket with his name on the top of it, on a satin cushion, in another box. Beautiful presentation. And Carol turned around and she said, I don't even think my mum came back as good as that. And we laughed. So we can find the humour in absolutely everything that we do, and the memories, and it is sad and it's happy, and that's what I kind of wanted to say to you all, that if you're going through what we're going through at the moment, and we're all different, and I'm not saying everybody should react in exactly the same way, because we're very, very different. Everyone's very different. But I hope in some way, even if this helps one person, that I am sat here talking about how I am at the moment. And it helps somebody say, oh yeah, I never thought about it like that. Or even, you talk a load of rubbish. Then I'm happy that it's helped. And really, that's all I wanted to say. I might do a bit more, because it's been an interesting journey for me over the past week. And I've lost many, many pets. Certainly myself and Carol have lost 3 in 5 years. Harry is now our 4th. And we've both reacted in very different ways with each of the dogs that have gone before. And we all react in different ways. And I'm listening to Jake now, because he's rolling around and he's whinging at the top of the stairs, as he does. He's giving me the death stare. Not quite sure what he wants. But I might do more of this, because the last week it has been literally a real roller coaster of absolute emotions. And putting Harry back onto social media really has helped with that, because he was in my head, and basically he was doing my head in. I just needed to let him back out again. If I can help you in any way, or you want to talk about it, if you're going through something similar, or have done, then, you know, get in touch. You know, you can get in touch with me through Harry's account, the Spaniel Harry on Twitter, or even the Woofstock Facebook page as well. You can message me on that, or if you're friends with Harry on Facebook, then you can message through that. But I'm going to go now and see what Jake wants. And thank you again for being there through this journey. I'll do a bit more and talk a bit more about it. And probably the next one that I do, I'll talk about leading up to losing your pet, and making that heartbreaking decision about when's the right time. But for now, thank you. Massive kisses and hugs to you all from all of us, and I will speak to you very, very soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.